An emergency can happen at any time.
Earthquake!
That's why you need to be prepared. Put together an emergency kit with food, water, a first aid kit, a flashlight, radio, and some tools.
I can't believe it, it's an earthquake!
You're never too old to prepare.
Ah, get out of there!
Get the message? Be prepared.
Get out of the house!
My name is Eric.
My name is May.
We are in Chinatown.
You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Today is Tuesday, March 12, 2013. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Orden, Mack, Bernardino, Druyan, and Salzman are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. As always, we will start with any commission comments. Yes?
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, everyone. This past week, I attended the Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council, and I was pleased that Captain Egan appeared, and you remember his CPAP were the ones that came up with that great idea about those survival kits in the buckets, and also senior needs officers Vargas, Kiefer, and Oliveros also were there. And again, another nice neighborhood council, and the officers were there, and they answered everyone's questions. And you know, the thing about those neighborhood councils is they focus on real specific issues in the neighborhood, and the officers are very patient with their time, and they go over everything. And you know, it's really quite remarkable that level of interaction, and it's good to see. And I think our officer participation in the neighborhood council is an important part of our goal of constitutional and community policing, and I was glad to attend.
Good to hear. Yes.
Thank you. I just have one thing to report. Last Thursday morning, I was able to attend a session in the mayor's office. It was the 17th session like this he's had since he's been mayor, and the last for him, which is he called listening sessions with his LGBT appointees and leaders from the lesbian gay community. And the reason I wanted to bring it up was in the beginning of that process, much of what was talked about, or at least, well, a significant part of what was talked about was concerns within the LGBT community about the relationships with the department, and in particular with respect to transgender individuals. And it was noticeable and commented on by the mayor and by myself and others how dramatically things have changed, and that reflected in those sessions over the 8 years of his being mayor, how the relationships with the department have become so positive and constructive. And there was a particular amount of thanks given for Chief Beck's leadership on these issues and the changes that have happened under his leadership. So I just wanted to report that. Thank you.
And we often talk about the public meetings that we have during the week, whether it's with the community or various groups. We also have working meetings during the week and on issues that are important to the community, to the commission, and to the department. And Commissioner Druyan and I have been meeting this last week with the city attorney's office on some of the risk management issues and litigation issues, and think those meetings are going very well. With that, I'd like to turn to a report from the Chief of Police.
Good morning, Commissioners. Start with my report on crime, as I always do. This week, I think I'll add some numbers to it so it makes a little more sense in context. Usually talk about percentages, but I don't think that gives anybody an idea of what a reduction in crime means. So to start, year-to-date homicides are down 25.8% as compared to last year, and 13.2% as compared to the year before. That translates into 16 less people killed by others in the city of Los Angeles so far this year. Rapes are down 38.5%. That's 60 fewer victims of rape in the city of Los Angeles as compared to last year. Robberies are down 13.5%. That's 210 less robberies this year than last. Aggravated assaults are down 12.3%. That's 186 fewer violent assaults than last year. Total violent crime is down 14.4% as compared to last year, and just under 20% as compared to 2011. Property crime is also down in every category. In the aggregate, it's down 8.4%. That translates into about 1,300 fewer property crimes than this time last year. Shots fired are down in the city of Los Angeles, about 6%. The number of victims shot down 14.2%. Every bureau of the city is showing a crime reduction, and the leading bureau in crime reduction is West Bureau. That's showing an amazing 19.4% reduction in overall crime. Attacks on police officers are down 27% overall. Officer-involved shootings are down, as compared to last year, 20%. Gang crime is down overall 23% compared to last year, and 34.5% as compared to 2011. Of particular note, gang homicides are down 41% as compared to 2012, and 30% as compared to 2011. So really good start to the year. Obviously, we are only a couple of months in, but this is a very favorable start, and particularly given all the deployment sapping events of the last month, this is a testament to strategies that work in crime reduction. Personnel on payroll, we have 9,978 sworn personnel on payroll and 39 recruits in the academy who are not yet on payroll. We have 272 Level 1 police reserves, 21 Level 2 police reserves, 128 Level 3 police reserves, and 1,007 volunteers. 2,861 civilian personnel are assigned to the Los Angeles Police Department, and we have 486 vacancies in civilian positions. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. The gang, all of the figures obviously are extraordinary. Yes, would you like to comment?
Yes, I just want to ask Chief Beck a question. In light of the defeat of Prop A, and I realize this is still kind of early, but do you have any preliminary indication as to what kind of impact it's going to have on the department?
Well, remember that Prop A doesn't affect the current budget. The current budget is good till June 30th. We intend to maintain our current personnel status through that time period. We are currently working with the city, the mayor's office, and the CAO on our next year's budget. The budget will be, of course, reflective of not only the non-passage of Prop A, but whatever additional revenues have come into the city that were unpredicted, and whatever additional shortfalls have come into the city that were unexpected. So we're very much in the throes of figuring out what our personnel status will be next year. So all that to say, we are working on what the future will bring, absent the passage of Prop A.
Thank you.
I was also going to comment, we have fairly recently had an excellent report on some of the crime reduction strategies for gang violence, including working with the city and the city housing projects. But, Chief, I don't think we can say too much about it, and I'd like to see if we could have another presentation in the next month or so about the reduction of gang violence and the strategies that seem to be working.
And I'd be glad to do that, Commissioners. You know, I think that's a very important story to tell in Los Angeles, particularly as we are beginning to draft the current city budgets for next year. You know, it's not only about the police department, it's also about the other gang strategies that the city uses, and I think it's important for we have the most high-profile ability to talk about these things, and I think it's important that we do so that the GRID office maintains its autonomy and maintains its funding. It saves lives.
Thank you. Thank you. Report of the Executive Director.
Morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. On your last request, I'll work with the Chief and Chief Jacobs' office to schedule that in the near future for you. And that concludes my report.
And the report of the Inspector General.
Thank you, Madam President. As a matter of an FYI, the Inspector General's office will be putting on the audit for the suspicious activity report on next week's Commission meeting. The agenda, as always, we'll have our documents available online, I think the Thursday or Friday before for the public to get access to, but it'll be scheduled for next Tuesday.
Thank you. And number 5 on the agenda is information, the filed items, the noise variance permits on file as submitted ending March 8th, 2013 with additional details in the full agenda, and the special event permits on file with additional information in the full agenda. Are there any presentations today?
No, ma'am.
We now move to the consent agenda items, 7A through C. Is there a motion?
Move approval of consent agenda items 7A through C.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And our regular agenda items, our very first is the verbal presentation from CPAB in the Van Nuys area, and B is the department's report relative to the digital in-car video system. Is there any other item, a motion then?
Move to approval of items 8C through 8G. J, excuse me.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Well, let's begin then with our verbal presentation. Ms. Penny Meyer is here and Captain Minsall for the Van Nuys CPAB report.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam President, fellow commissioners, Chief.
Morning.
Morning.
Van Nuys area has CPAB members. We have 32 active members. Penny Myers, as you've already introduced, is my co-chair for 2013. She was the co-chair for 2012. She's got almost 20 years of experience of community involvement, and most of that with CPAB and the neighborhood councils. Van Nuys CPAB in 2012 has been involved in 17 major or calendar events throughout the command, from the CPAB Summit to the Connor Lynch 5K walk marathon. They have 4 committees that she'll talk about, the accomplishments, and then we already set some goals for 2013. They work hand in hand with our Mid-Valley Community Police Council, which is our boosters organization, in both fundraising and working the community events. The 32 members are scattered throughout the command, so we represent the entire Van Nuys area.
Okay, we have 4 committees. We have a youth committee, and we support the TIPACOP, which our officers become the waiters. We have assisted the cadets with employment and resume preparation, cadet mentoring to gain employment, family resources for cadets, we have, I think, 4 cadets that are illegal, so we're trying to help them with their residency. And we have coordinated the Jeopardy program versus the police officers' basketball game. And then we have my committee, which is the Blight Abatement Committee. Basically, we have the SLOs identify areas that are blighted, and my committee goes out and we do cleanups. We have secured $7,500, $5,000 from the council office, and $2,500 from the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council to do some blight abatement work on Van Nuys Boulevard to bring it up to what it used to be, because it's pretty sad right now. And then we have rid the area of all of the bad magazine racks. So we have emergency preparedness, and we have provided several training sessions on different topics to CPAB members on emergency preparedness. We worked with the Red Cross on creating a pet first aid program. And we've participated in a pilot program with the Red Cross on mapping the area so that you know all your neighbors, and in an emergency you can go out and gather the proper people and help those most in need. And that committee attends a lot of events to put the word out. Then we have our Membership and Outreach Committee, which is headed by Josh Rubenstein from Kay Kelly. He's our weatherman. And he's done a series of promotional PSA short films on our station and North Hollywood Division, and so it's great for outreach. And we've just gotten 4 new members, and they also attend the roll call and helped with the CPAB website. So that's just a little overview. There are many more things, and I don't want to make it long, of what we do. We're very committed. We have a great team of people, and we have a great captain, and we're all working as a team. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing, ma'am, unless you or the board has questions, we set our goals for 2013, and some of the goals are to get each of the CPAB members trained, continue working with the Citizens Academy, getting members to attend from the community, and continue our work with the cadets so we can help those that need to move forward in their study so they can be successful. And that concludes my report, unless you have specific questions.
Well, as Commissioner Bernardino said, these are some of the best presentations and the best opportunity for us to see what's going on in the community, and it is very good to hear. I know the Chief has told us that crime has been reduced in each and every one of the divisions at the moment. Can you tell us something about what's happening in Van Nuys?
In Van Nuys, our crime is down about 3.5%. Our most predominant crimes have been the burglary, theft for motor vehicle, and grand theft auto. They've been mostly targeted throughout the command. Our productivity is up 1.8%. Our officers are out there working. They're very focused. We're very strategic, using our CAD unit to direct us to where the problems are. But we're also working with the community in forward thinking. We put out 4 Nixle, Facebook, and Twitter messages on crime prevention information, as well as any hot topics that may come out to affect the area. The senior lead officers are out door knocking. Most recently, the senior lead officers worked an evening shift from about 9 to 4 o'clock in the morning. And what they found, they were out actually looking for crime, and what they found is they had a big problem with prevention. So they went out and identified 12 different residents who were just completely immune or oblivious to crime. They left the garage door open. So they went out and they actually did a big teaching moment about lock it, hide it, keep it, and how not to become a victim and harden the target. So it was very successful in those regards. The rest of the command is very focused on the crime, and so far results are looking good.
Good to hear.
You guys are my home division and my home CPAP, so I'm especially proud of the work of Ms. Meyer and Captain Menzel, and thank you very much for it. And I can attest to the fact that the senior lead officers in your division, Captain, are very knowledgeable, and I've been at other events, and they really do explain a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff listening to them in the past. And also the social media is very active, and so that's always good to see.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will now go on to B, the department's report on the digital in-car video system inspection.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Chief, my name is Bert Mora. Along with me is John Doucette, the auditor for this inspection. Before you, you have the digital in-car video inspection. We had 5 objectives for this inspection. And to summarize, there was an improvement in 3 of the 5 objectives. Even the lowest objective that we had this time increased a percentage of 10 from the last inspection. That is my summary of the inspection.
You want me to add to that?
Yeah, that would be helpful. And you may want to focus on areas that you still find challenging and need to.
Yes, sir. My name is Matt Blake, by the way. I'm the assistant to the director of the Office of Operations. Good morning. Morning, Chief. Really, as we looked at what the issues were, as we see a 98%, 96%, 98%, and then we go from a 95 to a 90% as we look at 4, which is the documentation of the digital in-car video condition. So that's where the officers, prior to them going out, they have to check on the condition of the system, is it working, and all of that. And what we found is that the officers were doing that, but they just weren't documenting it. And so, and by show of the fact of how successful the videos have been playing, we aren't missing those things. We're not driving around in cars that it's not working. So one of the things that, in order to ensure that the officers, 1, don't forget, and 2, that they are that we can record that we're doing that, is that we had the DFAR, our daily field activities report for the officers, adjusted. And so what it does is it gives you the ability to see that there was a system check in the very beginning. So they they changed the DFAR to ensure that it had that. And then also for each one of the events that occur during that day, if in fact they use digital in-car video, there's a place there for them to check and to recognize that it was there. So, and that's been going on for about 5 months. And I do want to give South Bureau some credit. As when you look at a lot of credit, because when you look at what they're doing, in 2012 they conducted over 119,000 assessments on their digital in-car video stuff. They are looking at this stuff. They have 10 dedicated officers to this, making sure that nothing slips through. And as a result, I think we're seeing some really good numbers. The other area where we have still not necessarily arrived is the issue of training that's provided and documented. The thing about this is, though, when we look at the numbers, we're talking about very small numbers, 17 and 19, so the percentage jumps down to 89. So when you look at what happened in those specific incidents in Southwest Division, they have a process. Actually, the whole Bureau has a process. When the Bureau has their welcoming meeting, when the officers come in for orientation, they train them all that day. They don't go out in the field until they get trained that day. On this situation, the 2 that did not get trained were out of Southwest, and it was because there was the training coordinator had been sick. So they missed that. They got the training from their partners, but they missed it on this one.
I might just comment. Well, first of all, I commend Chief Green and your team. As we all know, South Bureau has been the pioneer, if you will, in this in-car video camera experience. Yes. And I think overall it seems as though you really have done a very good job of working out some of the bugs. I know previously one of the big issues was the failure to activate the cameras. And I see that there's been a dramatic improvement in that regard, which I'm pleased to see. And I know my colleagues will agree to. Now we have begun in closed session to see, the video more and more. And I know for me personally, and I'm sure my colleagues agree, it has, frankly, it really has been extremely helpful to us as we have evaluated the investigations in terms of the categorical use of force and officer-involved shootings, and so it's become a valuable tool in that regard.
And Chief Green and Captain Scott have done a marvelous job in also balancing the issue of morale. That's one of those things where officers are concerned about it, and yet they've found a way that their work is still going on. They're working incredibly hard, and the officers are turning that thing on every case.
So you've paved the way for the next round, huh?
Yes, they have. Yes, they
and we
have.
certainly hope there will be a next round, and let's hope the budget allows that.
Right.
Yes. Inquire. Commander Blake, so
yes, sir.
As I understand it then, the issue is really like a little bit where we fell below. It's a paperwork problem rather than an actual problem of not inspecting the machinery.
On item number 4, that is certain. That's what that is.
Commander, I know Chief Green explained to me about how it affects the issues of police liability. Could you expound on that a little bit, how it's helpful in that regard?
Well, it helps us on several levels on that. One, anytime you know that somebody is watching you, if you work in a business and you have a video camera that's right behind you, you're going to be more thoughtful of how you act, how you react. And it gives us the ability also to train. We take a look at ourselves, and sometimes when you respond to things, you're able to look back and say, "Wow, is that how that looked?" And that's something very important to us at South Bureau, in South Bureau, when they're evaluating this stuff. It's also the way we treat our citizens and the way we communicate with our citizens. As far as having people making allegations of misconduct, whether it be physical or their verbiage, we have a videotape witness who basically says that did not happen. So frequently it not only does that, but it more often than not, it's showing the LAPD that it's doing everything that they believe to be right, and it's a very, very good system that's helping us with that.
To follow up, Commander, because I know these things cost money, but there's also costs involved with liability issues.
Yes.
Besides anecdotal, do you have any idea of how often perhaps a complaint has been made and the video camera?
I believe Bob Green might have that answer. I do not.
Thank you,
Chief.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We assessed all of 2011 because to close out the year with statute dates, some of these complaints take a while. In 2011, there were 144 personal complaints that contained evidence of digital in-car video. Of the 144 complaints, there were 14 sustained complaints. Of those 14 sustained complaints, 7 were sustained for failure to activate it. So ultimately, out of 144 cases where we had digital in-car video as evidence, other than 7 complaints where we sustained misconduct, everything else was deemed to be unfounded or no misconduct. So from a liability complaint perspective, it's extraordinarily powerful. The biggest benefit of digital in-car video, when you take away the liability factor, the fact that it's a tremendous training tool, and the fact that it unfounds complaint, is the community trust issue. When it comes to community trust, we had some very, very high-profile incidents that without that kind of documentation, it really would have hurt us. But in my meetings with gang interventionists, with community members, when you can talk about that video, it's a game changer for us in South Bureau. Because as you know, the issue has been trust for decades. And one of the areas that we're making tremendous progress in is that community trust issue. And a lot of that is digital in-car video that's responsible for that, so that relationship. So it's hard to quantify the value of it, but it's probably the most important change that we'll make in policing in the city of Los Angeles in decades. It's tremendous.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, thank you very much for the report, and thank you very much for the additional information.
Thank you.
Very helpful. And is there a motion?
I move approval.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. It is now time for public comment.
Yes, Madam President, we have 2 speakers. We have Mr. Pete Nicholas and Annie Hall.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, and Chief Beck. My name is Pete Nicholas. I'm one of the founding members of the community group known as Reclaim Old Rampart. I'm a stakeholder in the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council, and I'm an author of the motions and resolutions that were adopted by the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council in connection with the rehabilitation of the old Rampart Station into the new Metro Division headquarters. I appear again to implore each commissioner individually who may not be intimately familiar with the specific plans for the rehabilitation and who may not have been made available the information on the few simple, direct, minor changes that the community has requested. The community was only notified of the first round of plans in spring of last year. We understand that the Metro Division has had to wait for Phase 2. They're eager to get into their new station. That's understandable. But without community input, completely in secret, without any knowledge to the public, plans were adopted. The Metro Division commander has been unwilling to accept or modify any plans. Chief Beck has fully backed the commander. We petition you, we request each of you please become intimately involved. You have my name and number. I or another representative of those groups would be happy to appear before you, or in any group that meets the Brown Act qualifications. We'd be happy to schedule, we'd respond to questions. But so far, LAPD has been unmoved in responding to community needs, requests, and suggestions with regard to the rehabilitation.
Thank you. Annie Hall.
Good morning. I'm Annie Hall, and I just like to thank everyone here, Madam President, John Beck, the Commissioner, Chief Beck, John Mack, Chief Beck, the Inspector General. I just like to thank y'all very much. And I also like to thank the police officers in Los Angeles that put their life on the line every day for the citizens. I came today to be assigned to an investigator. And this will bring much relief to the neighborhood and my community. Many of my neighbors in the community was very frightened when the incident happened to me, and they thought that it would happen to them as well. This investigation will show the greatness in LAPD and how they can change their image. It will build a relationship between the officers in our community. There are many great officers at Southwest Police Department, but there's a few bad ones. And they're black, Latino, and white. And it doesn't matter about the race of the officers because, you know, a lot of times we talk about race, but the race doesn't have anything to do with the officer. It's just the officer's character. Because I was brought up in that community when I was young. Most of the officers were white officers, and we had great relationships. It just seems like the quality of the officers have went down in some aspects. And so I would like to say that your decision has brought great relief to me and my family. Now we can begin to heal. And thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
There are no other cards, Madam President.
Thank you, and we will now recess to close session for consideration of the items in 10A.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item numbers 10A 1 and 2 in accordance with Government Code 54957.
They didn't move there.
Did you know that more than 80% of false alarms are related to preventable user errors, such as open windows or pets? Any motion can trigger an alarm. Thousands of police patrol hours are wasted investigating alarm reports that turn out to be false alarms. That's crime-fighting time lost. Make sure your alarm is working properly.